All right, welcome back. This is MDawg. Hopefully we are set up here to record. I am fishing here at Mosquito. Excited to test this spot out. Folks are talking about that Bream are once again pretty solid here at Mosquito, which is always exciting, especially for new players, folks who are trying to find some good spots to farm for silver and XP, especially early on. As you can see, we are fishing on our picker rods, and I can already tell I need to make a change here. We are at a 10-meter clip and using about a 6 to 7 kilo leader. Kind of just threw on some leaders, whatever size I had. Cottage cheese, large one hook. Just really curious to see what the bite rate is. We're starting a little early here, getting the rods in, but now that I have the chance to pause the video, I have no fear in starting our bream fishing whenever. So we're going to go ahead and get these soaking. We are at 87.87. I've brought up the map a couple times here. This is H4, and I am using a ground bait that I'm not sure I've used before. You see the ingredients here: pearl barley, millet porridge, chopped worm maggots with garlic. This is not a vastly different ground bait. We have garlic instead of spicy garlic. Of course, the original mix is going to have anise oil, but we have wow, that's a big bream here. How early it is in the day. Goodness. So yeah, I mean, it's not like a crazy different ground bait, but just this specific, it doesn't always have chopped worm in it. Millet porridge and maggots are a mainstay. Pearl barley and garlic. We can go to the bream mix right here. So it typically does start with pearl barley. Maggots, millet porridge are normal, but it's normally anise oil. And of course, this one has garlic, which I'm actually more familiar with people trying out spicy garlic in some of these like variant bream combinations of ground bait. I don't know that it actually matters. By the way, this was Ivan Chernik, something like that, who I noticed posted about this spot on VK, and I immediately was interested in seeing just how active this spot is for the sake of new players, especially. If you can get a good spot going here at Mosquito for bream, it's a good way to spend the evening, especially when there's cafe orders to support it. But let's see just how good this spot really is. As we have this, yeah, I think I messed it up. Picked it up too soon. I really thought the fish was fully on there. But we are using cottage cheese dough. So, you know, here I am saying it's for beginners, and that's not completely unrealistic. It just depends on how fast someone is focusing on leveling up their bait harvesting. And then I think you could probably use regular ground bait. I also think you could probably use, you know, even a starter ground bait and still do fine. But using cottage cheese dough, using this specific ground bait, perhaps we do a little better than you might do. But regardless, I guess what I'm saying is, even if you can't do all of the things that we're doing in this setup, if the bream are biting, it still could be a worthwhile spot to fish here at Mosquito. A lot of times other doughs will work for bream. Pearl barley, garlic dough. Even sometimes worm or maggots will be reliable enough. But since the person is showing this spot off using cottage cheese, I'm sort of assuming that that's the best bait to use right now. So we'll see, but that's what I'm assuming. All right, so we went from probably a bream on there the first time to hitting a Crucian the second time, which it could have been a Crucian actually. The way it was nibbling that first time, it might have not have been a bream. This right rod has been doing pretty good work in terms of bite rate here early. Oh, the one difference in the 3 rods, besides just like maybe minor differences in the leader, which the leaders actually look very similar. This one doesn't have a leader because I'm using straight fluorocarbon. Sometimes I like to, you know, just test one with straight fluorocarbon, see if it seems to make a difference at all. So far, the only rod that we're not getting any action on is the second rod. I guess we can recast that eventually if that continues. Lots of nibbling, so this might be another Crucian or something. Third rod again. Looks like first rod did finally get something going. So we are catching the bream. I mean, this is what you would expect this early. That if you're catching bream, they're going to be really small. But that first one especially came in with a nice size. I hope the bite rate keeps up like this in the overnight, though. That would be really nice. Oh, another nice one. So 2 over 1 kilo already. Still nothing on that first rod, oddly enough. Kind of want to get the quiver tips uniform here. Finally, it looks like that middle rod is deciding to do something. All right, so let's go maybe everything on 35. Quiver tip. Very strange. Maybe that middle rod's just had like something nibbling on it for a while, and that's why it seems so slow. I don't know. I'm looking forward to like recasting it. There's nothing going on here that, oh, the hook's got 1%, 0.1% wear. I wonder, you know, it could just be that I've had these, all of the hooks in my inventory I've had for so long now that it's just like random, but it's really been in the last couple of months that all of a sudden I have thrown away so many hooks that have damage. Just before we started this video, I like found 2 just in this category, this size, that I had to throw away. And here's another one that I didn't even realize I was using that is, it's already got 0.1% wear. I mean, I think the idea is, even though 0.1% seems like nothing, right? But I think the idea is any wear at all seems like it can affect how much fish got away notifications you have. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's like been confirmed, but it's enough, and hooks are cheap enough, you know, when you're at higher level, that it's probably worth just being on the safe side. You don't want to lose a bunch of fish. All of the rods at one time coming through. Trying to make sure we actually have them all on loop rig. We don't. So the slowest one was on basic bottom instead of loop rig. The other 2 are on loop rig. So let's get them all uniform. I'm good with using loop rig for bream. If there's a better one to do, then I've been messing up for such a long time now that I don't mind continuing to mess up on rig type. Ooh, a tench. Bycatch of cottage cheese for sure. Could probably lower this break just a little bit to be on the safe side. There's a nice bream. I think that's our third one. Third one already. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. 1, 2, 3, 4? Is that our fourth? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Okay. We might end up with, this might be like a 20 bream night. We'll see. Now the question is this going to be a good farm, bream farm for Mosquito? Or is it just going to be a good bream farm in general? That's sort of the question right now. The straight fluorocarbon line seems like it's doing quite well. Oh, it's fat Crucian. So not that this is completely unusual, but even for bream, I would say 10-meter clip is pretty short. It's a pretty nice little clip to be catching fish at this rate. So in 12 minutes, we're sitting here with 16 fish. Obviously not all of them keepers, but I'm keeping everything right now just to get an idea of like overall bite rate. It'll be interesting to see, like, once nighttime comes, a lot of times spots like this, you know, the bream might just take over. But Crucian, and, you know, we're not catching gibbles at the moment. We're catching Crucian mostly, not mostly, completely. But Crucian are active at night too, so will the bream take over, or will they have some competition? There's another one. Another really nice bream. Oh, I saved it. All right, I think we actually got them all uniform again as far as quiver tips. Decent amount of Crucian, which for cafe purposes sometimes will really work in your favor here at Mosquito if you get some decent Crucians mixed in with the bream. Yeah, this seems like a really solid spot. Unless the bottom just drops out overnight, which would be really weird for bream. But unless that happens, this seems legit. Obviously, with a 10-meter clip, if you wanted to, you could actually float fish in this situation. All kinds of cool options when you got a 10-meter clip. Love to see that diving beetle. Ooh! Wow! Not what I was expecting. I mean, not like shocking. We've been catching some nice Crucians, but imagine if this was Corey, 10-meter clip, just watching the Bream take our bait down there. That'd have been cool. Ooh. $1.7. So, will we break the 2 kilo mark on any of these Bream out here? We have done incredibly well with bite rate. Already have 10 over a kilo, which it's pretty early to be at that point. Ooh. What if it's another Crucian though? It's not. There it is, over 2 kilo. Over a kilo. Some small ones mixed in every once in a while, I guess. All right, there's our most recent Crucian mixed in. We are at 33 fish in 20 minutes. I should have called it. I could just tell. Nibbling for so long. And the way it was nibbling too. Ooh. 2.2. Gotta love it. Gotta watch the leaders, though. Hey, it's our first gibble, folks. All right, it's another nice one. So we've had like 3 or 4 now over 2. Just a lot of bream. It's been really good. Let's see. Already 19. I mean, this is already incredible, and it's 2 a.m. So it's official. This bream spot, especially for Mosquito, but just in general, this bream spot's just on fire. And the bite rate's just going to be amazing because you've got active bream with the, oh, that's another tench, with the Crucian mixed in. So what are we at? 45 fish, 28 minutes. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's just picked up in the evening, the bite rate. A nice one. 1.8. All right, somebody has asked a couple times in chat, and I'll answer them there and also say it out loud for what it's worth. They're asking if the starter kit's enough for Bream. So the starter kit is enough for fishing for Bream. I mean, it comes with Lacertes. It's fine. The problem is, typically the Bream you're going for is going to be at Old Berg, and so you'll sometimes hit spots where you're hooking into more than Bream. Like you might hook into a common carp, which would be the most common, but sometimes it's even grass carp, according to the baits we're using. But just as far as specifically the answer to the question, is that enough for Bream? Yes, it's enough for Bream. But the dangers at Old Berg will sometimes be a pain. Actually did not mean to grab this one that quick, but it worked out. Trying to turn this fish's head, and I think we have now. Ooh, we left this one on 20, which was almost a mistake there. Was pulling strong for a second. All right, so somebody in chat is saying they never have any luck on Bear or Old Berg. Been fishing for an hour at Old Berg and nothing. Never is such a big word and implies so much, like a long time. But I'm skeptical of the word there. Maybe like this week or recently. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. How long have we been around? Level 22. Been around a little bit. Bear is notoriously hot and cold, so I kind of get that. Old Berg is just good. You know, spots might not have been as good as they normally are in the last little bit, but typically they're really good. There's so much you can fish for at Old Berg. But I think Bear recently has been pretty decent, so I don't know, might just be bad RNG. .2. Oh, I see. $60 fish in 34 minutes. Let's just look at Bream and let's look at weight. 6, 12, 18, 24. Oh my goodness. We're at 31 over a kilo. So, I mean, we're not getting, I mean, I might have seen Bream spots where you could catch a higher percentage of Bream, like in the 2.5 to 3.5 kilo range, maybe. But just in terms of like the normal way I judge Bream spots, which is amount of Bream over a kilo, there's rarely been better than this. You might be less likely to trophy here, or like I said, catch the big ones. But just in terms of like farming it, XP, silver, and hitting a certain amount over a kilo. And the reason why we track it that way, I mean, there's a visual difference, obviously. Let's go back to Bream. You see they look small like this, and then when you hit the kilo mark, they look like the more mature. There's also a silver difference. The higher it is over a kilo, the more silver they're going to be worth. So even though it's still marker size at that like 800 gram or whatever, it's worth very little money or XP. This like started pulling right here at the last minute. Oh, it's a tench. I was going to say, that feels awfully weird to be a Bream. All right, so we'll just go. I mean, I actually wonder if this spot is so strong that you could justify like fishing this all day and all night, but we're going to stop at 7:30, 8 a.m., something like that per normal with Bream spots. But, I mean, this has been amazing. See if we start getting some smaller Bream coming in now that it's daylight. They might mix in. I mean, you still expect around 7 a.m. to have a chance to catch some big ones, but there's 2 in a row. After not really having small ones overnight too much, occasionally, but we had 2 in a row here. Okay. Might be a tench again with how intense it is. Well, we've got it turned towards us. It is a Bream, just a healthy one. Might be 3.3 kilos, 6,500 XP. Yeah, and that's why you go till 7 a.m. because sometimes this is where the largest Bream come out. That is going to be the largest fish of the day, right? At 3.377. If there is a reasonable chance to get a trophy, that 6 to 7 a.m. is when you're hoping to see it. And I would say that, you know, the Crucians tried to put up a fight, but for the most part, overnight, the Bream really shined through. There's another one over a kilo. Yeah, I mean, I think we could just keep going, but, you know, gotta cut it off at some point. We'll let 8 a.m. be. Got a couple more nibbles on, so see what these fish are. I just don't think whatever this is that was nibbling there, it's not going to be a bream. So I think we'll just go ahead and take it in. All right, so let's see how we have done. First, let's just get the overall price at the fish market, and then before we actually sell, we'll check the cafe and we'll get a final count on how many bream we had in over a kilo. I mean, I will say that a lot of times when I'm doing these bream tests, and I don't typically get anywhere near the numbers that we had in this spot, although we started earlier in the day than I usually did, but it just shocked me how many 1 kilo bream we had even before before it was evening. Look at that, 245 silver in just about 40 minutes, 41 minutes at Mosquito. I mean, that's incredible. All right, so let's look at the cafe. I guess before we do, let's check out in particular the bream. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 35 bream at 1 kilo or above. That is some good, so those are some good numbers. So the only thing we're gonna have here is, I just doubt 10 silver. Actually, that might be good. I mean, at this point, it's not really worth the time to measure this, but just for fun, let's see. So it is worth it to do the cafe order by 4 silver. So we'll do that, and then the rest of it, we will do to the fish market. So 238 silver, almost 20 silver for that trophy Crucian. It was up over 2 kilos, nice healthy Crucian. And then 10 silver for the 3.3 bream. So they really add up, and that is just some good silver. All right. Hope you enjoyed. Hopefully this will be useful to some of you, especially for the newer players. Again, if you don't have cottage cheese yet, just look at your, obviously always check the weeklies. Worms sometimes will catch bream, maggots. If you do have pearl barley, I would try that first. If you don't have cottage cheese dough unlocked yet. A lot of times at Mosquito, pearl barley will work okay. But if not, worms, maggots, like I said, or if you know a player who's fishing with you that's maybe a little higher level, they may already have cottage cheese dough unlocked, and you can send them some ingredients to make it for you or something. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks as always for watching, and I wish you tight lines. I'll see you next time.